Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to talk to you about bunnies.
That's right, Johnny. Bunnies, or specifically when bunnies go mad with rabies and attack everybody, and it turns into this big, bloody, gory mess, which also, incidentally, is Napoleon's greatest defeat, or at least I would say it's his greatest defeat. To hell with Waterloo, Attack of the Killer Bunnies.
So it's not just adorable history of bunnies, but rabid bunnies that defeated a French emperor.
That is 100% correct, Johnny. It's another one of our animal specials. This time we talk about killer rabbits. All right, Johnny. So everybody remembers Napoleon's greatest defeat at Waterloo, but most forget his more embarrassing and probably greater defeat when he lost at the hands of a furry little bunny, or hundreds of furry little bunnies.
Yeah.
So
There's never a bunny.
yeah, it's never a bunny. There's always dozens of bunnies because those things like to breed. So how on earth could this have been a forgotten little battle, and how on earth did he lose to bunnies? Well, you see, Napoleon's favorite sport was hunting, and I guess that makes sense because of his size. He probably wouldn't be playing American football or hockey. But
Hey,
yes, I know,
hey.
average. He's average. I know.
He was fine, all right? He was a giant among men, if you ask me. He was, what, 5'6"?
Yeah, 5'6".
Five and a half
yeah,
feet? That's,
yeah.
that's a gigantic.
Yeah, well, when you're 5'2", Johnny, everybody's a
I'm
giant.
5'4" and 3/4, but
Oh, all right. Sorry. Your wife is the 5'2". I forgot about that.
she's 5 even.
Somehow this man found
we're
a
just-
woman shorter than him.
They
It
exist,
worked out.
boys.
They do exist for everybody in the height. What way to feel more manly than obliterating a bunny with a flintlock musket? Because that was also one of his
course.
favorite animals to hunt, was little furry bunnies.
Now, if you're shooting a bunny with a flintlock musket, it's not for food. right?
Well,
Are you able to shoot a bunny
you
in such
could-
a way that it doesn't just
so you could
obliterate
take a military smoothbore arm. Now, granted, he was probably using hunting shotguns, but you could take a smoothbore
Okay.
musket and you could just load that up with birdshot. That's the benefit of a smoothbore, is it pretty much is a shotgun. You can kind of throw whatever projectile you want in it.
Okay.
Now, rumor has it that Napoleon had a reputation of not being the great. He was kind of a shit shot. Like he brilliant military general, but when it came to actually firing the gun himself, not
Okay,
so
yeah,
good.
so this is
Not
the
so good.
teacher versus the doer type
Yeah.
of deal. He was not good. He could tell you how to do it. He could, put everybody in the right spot and conquer lands, but
But if
don't ask him to
Yeah, if
shoot
he was
anything to
shooting-
save your life. Okay.
Yeah, if he was shooting, he's not. He's definitely not hitting anything. So how does arguably the greatest military mind ever get defeated by a bunny? It all starts in 1807. Sorry, July of 1807. Napoleon had just signed the Treaty of Tilsit between France and Imperial Russia, ending effectively the Fourth Coalition War. Enthralled over his victory, and keep in mind, this is like the fourth time that Napoleon has pretty much taken on the world in one.
Yeah.
In one.
He's-
He's not going up. He's going up against Imperial Russia, Austria, Germany, like massive countries, and he's like, meh, brush them aside.
Yeah, everybody forget kind of how badass he was because they make fun of him for being a completely normal height.
Yeah, completely
And then
normal.
they
height.
just disregard all of the conquering he did.
Yeah, lots of massive conquering, yes. So during the Fourth Coalition War, he signs his peace treaty, wants to look at celebrating, enthralled over this victory. He's like, let's come up with a celebration. So what better way to celebrate than Napoleon's favorite pastime of hunting? So Napoleon, he's going to turn to his chief of staff, Louis Alexandre Berthier. I know I nailed that because Berthier is the name of a rifle in World War One. So there's that.
So
and then
that's
I
how you
looked
know.
it. I
Well,
looked it
that's
up.
good.
Yeah, it's Louis Alexandre du Berthier. So Berthier is he's gonna send invites out to all the top brass in Napoleon's armies and invite them to come to the hunt and the feast. But what to hunt? But because we can't can't just go off and hunt wild boar and make it dangerous. We want to make this easy. And Berthier, knowing that
you're
Napoleon,
celebrating a victory. It's supposed to be a party, right?
It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a party.
Not a challenging hunt. It's just
we're not going to hunt.
have some fun.
We're not hunting foxes. We're not hunting elk. We're not hunting moose or bull or any of that kind of stuff. We're gonna
go bag us some bunnies.
We'll go with some bunnies. So Berthier goes out and says, all right, we'll do a bunny hunt, and he goes out into the wilderness to find said bunnies to capture for Napoleon, knowing again that, hey, not the best shot in the world, so we don't want to embarrass him in front of his men. So what we're going to do is we're going to get as many bunnies as we can, capture them in cages, and then as Napoleon goes out with his men to the hunt, we'll just release the bunnies, and then there'll be a mass of them that he can just, can't miss, right? Just point, shoot,
like that,
you'll hit something.
That kind of farmed hunting or whatever that takes place, where they trap a bunch of deer inside of a specific area, and it's just fish in a barrel.
It's like there was there was the King of the Hill episode where like Bobby goes on his first hunting expedition, and it's like one of these farmed hunts where they just shoot feeders and like 20 deer swarm the feeder, and it's like all right, Bobby, take your shot,
just shoot that way.
Can't
so
miss.
They're doing that for their fearless leader.
So that's
nice.
That's his idea on how to hunt all these guys. So like I said, the plan was to have them caged, and then once Napoleon walks through them, they'll be released and all is good to go. So the morning before the hunt, Napoleon and his generals and his top brass gorge themselves on a full feast, including meats, wines, fruits, and salads. All kinds of three-course.
After all.
Which it's a little odd that they're going to do that before the hunt, because you'd think like if we're going to go hunt these bunnies, maybe we'll kill the bunnies and use them in the stew. But no. The feast is going to be beforehand. We're just like obliterating the bunnies for the sake of obliterating them.
Yeah, it's just to kill a thing. Like he's like, we just killed a bunch of stuff, signed a treaty. There's no more killing in sight, so let's go kill some stuff. So after the feast, Napoleon is going to step out of his carriage. He's going to assemble his men. There is even, in fact, a band that accompanies him, pounding the drums as you do on hunts, because trying to scare the animals up. He lines up the men on the field. Just imagine his entire army in parade formation down this line, and here comes Napoleon. Out with his little hand in his pocket, going to come with his little tri-corner hat thing that he wore, doing his Napoleon thing, walking across all this line. A little bit.
Yep. There are reports that say that there were upwards of 3,000 bunnies, but most reports say
a lot of bunnies. I mean, done for the person who captured the bunnies.
Yeah. Most reports say it was more like several hundred bunnies, like 300, 400, or 500 bunnies, not thousands, but there is a report that does say up to 3,000 bunnies. There's a lot of bunnies. There's a lot of bunnies. Either way, there's a lot of bunnies. So as he's got his top brass assembled, as the band is marching, as his gun bearers, because again, this is a rich emperor who's not going to carry the gun himself. He's going to have gun bearers that have the guns loaded and ready for him.
Yeah, of course. It's a caddy essentially.
He's
not carrying his own golf clubs.
No, he's got his caddy. So as he's got his men assembled, as he's marching, as the band's going, they decide to release the bunnies. But the bunnies don't run. No. At least they don't run away. What they do is when the cage is open, all the bunnies assemble en masse, and they look at Napoleon and go, "Hey, he's the fearless leader. Let's coordinate assault on Napoleon and the top brass." And all these hundreds of bunnies mass in formation and start bouncing or hippity-hoppiting up to Napoleon and the top brass.
Now, surely that's because there's just people in lines, right?
Maybe,
and it's just funneling them into...
That could very well be it. And the men at first think this is hilarious because the bunnies aren't running away; they're running at us. This is funny. Get your musket out.
It's coming right for us.
They're coming right for us. Yeah, right. South Park. They're coming right for us. Well, they're coming right for us, and then the laughter ends when these hundreds and hundreds of bunnies are swarming everybody,
and attacking.
Yeah, well,
or hopping on,
hopping on,
Their little paws have claws and shit. They're
reports say that Napoleon himself had rabbits climbing up his legs, getting into his jacket pockets. Getting into his jacket.
Because they're trying to find anywhere to hide. I'm sure. Yeah,
anywhere to hide.
Terrified animals.
Perhaps food, because these are guys that just gorge themselves on the feast. I'm sure that there
Yeah.
may be some smells a lingering, or there may be some
Could be,
breadcrumbs in some said pockets. So these
guess
bunnies
they're
are
just terrified and looking for a way to hide.
Yeah, that could be that. Could be that. Could be that. So these bunnies are swarming up Napoleon. So his men and Napoleon himself, he's got his riding crop, and he's bapping at these bunnies, trying to get these bunnies off of him. And his men then now start to take place, and they start coming up onto Napoleon and start bapping away the bunnies. Which I'm not sure how much of this was them like wanting to be helpful, like we're helping save you, Napoleon, and how much of it is like.
I mean, if you're
hitting him in the face,
bunnies, and you have to beat those bunnies off, you might miss a couple of bunnies. And,
I swear, but I'm only trying to hit the bunnies off you. Forced with no other option, Napoleon attempts to flee to his carriage. And according to historian David Chandler, and I quote, with a finer understanding of Napoleonic strategy than most of his generals, the rabbit horde divided into two wings and poured around the flanks and the party and headed right for the imperial coach. So they flank around everybody and go right for him? They're following him to the coach. Again, this is a coach where they just had a big, massive feast. So I'm thinking...
Yeah, that
the bunnies might have,
because I'm sure the bunnies might have some fed in their cages.
I'm sure they've been in their cages for a couple of days, probably not fed the best.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going to take. I assume they hijack, kick Napoleon out of the carriage and steal it and drive away.
No, almost. So as Napoleon's entering his retreat to his carriage, he is kicking bunnies away. He actually gets to his carriage, but the bunnies have outmaneuvered him, and there are bunnies in his carriage that he's like hurling out of the carriage. This battle only ends. My God. This battle only ends when Napoleon's carriage runs away. Like his carriage driver's like, "All right, we're getting out of here." The whole while, Napoleon's in the carriage hurling out bunnies from the back and the windows.
Oh my God! I wonder how many times he got bit.
Maybe a couple.
Grabbing him, you grab a bunny, you're gonna get bit one of these times.
One of the times he is definitely gonna get bit. So we've now got Napoleon who's ran. He's got his surrender. So who's actually to So what happened here? Who's actually to blame? Well, you see, it's actually it's kind of all Berthier's fault because he couldn't find any wild rabbits when he was trying to coordinate the rabbit hunt.
So I gave him credit for trapping all these rabbits, and he.
So what he actually
didn't even do that.
What he actually did is he approached a few farmers who were farming rabbits and said, "Hey, can I just buy your lot of rabbits from you?" Now let that sink in for a second. These aren't wild rabbits; these are pet rabbits that are farmed rabbits,
probably farmed for food.
That are used to probably farmed for food. But either way, pet rabbits that are used to
they're taken care of.
They're used to humans. They're used to humans being the ones that feed them. Now, and they're used to like the farmers' children that are the ones that are usually likely feeding the kids. And the kids, what kid doesn't love an adorable bunny bouncing on them, right? Like look at the little bunny.
Yeah, you cuddle them,
So Berthier has gotten farmed bunnies that are used to humans and used to jumping on humans.
Then starve them
for a couple of days inside cages, and then released them and was shocked that they didn't run away, but instead ran to humans for food.
To the people who
had just eaten a huge feast. Yeah, who just eaten a huge feast that have residual, at least residual smells, if not actual residual food still on them. Because if Napoleon's anything like me, half the food I try to eat lands on me.
Anything like you. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Maybe not, but at least when I'm at work and I'm driving around in my truck and I'm eating, half the food lands on me.
Sure.
So the bunnies are going to be going after.
And
the
wine's flowing. He's drunk. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
It's a celebration.
Copious mess. So after this battle, after this embarrassing defeat, what would happen to Berthier? Because it was his fault. Well, after the fall of the French Empire. A little bit later down the road, he advised, actually right before this happened, he advised Napoleon, said, "Hey, listen, Napoleon, maybe don't go into Russia. Like, let's not go and attack Moscow. It's cold. It's a very big country with lots of resources, and we have to traverse a lot of land and make sure our supply train's intact. So maybe let's not attack Moscow." Napoleon didn't listen and attack Moscow. Long story short, fall of the Imperial France. So when France falls,
Okay.
Berthier decides to make peace with the returned French king Louis XVIII. So Berthier it strikes me as a guy who really only wants to do whatever it takes to keep himself alive and in a position of authority and power that he can be in.
He's a self-preservation type of guy who will do or say anything to for whoever's in power. He's going to switch. That's clearly the route he's decided to take in his life.
Very much his take. So he's made peace with the French king. He's allowed to maintain in his position of comfort. He retires to his 600-acre estate and resumes his hobbies of falconry and sculpting. Notice I said falconry and not bunny taking. When Napoleon,
so he couldn't get the bunnies, so he got falcons, and now he
got falcons instead. They get the bunnies for him. Yes. So he keeps in contact with Napoleon during this entire time. When Napoleon's in exile, Napoleon's telling him like, "Hey, look, I'm coming back, and this is my plan to come back, and I'm going to become the emperor again, and we're going to rule the entire world together." And Berthier's like, "I don't know how that's going to work, but hit me up when you get back. But hit me up when you get back to France, I guess."
Again. Yeah, when you have some power, let me know.
So when Napoleon does, in fact, return, Berthier wasn't fully confident enough to commit to him. Because, again, like he did kind of ignore him when he's like, don't go to Moscow. And he went to Moscow anyways. Yeah. And then, of course, also, Berthier's been friends with the king. So he's like, well, it's like you got two girls on the side. Who do you choose? Berthier takes the, I'm going to play the middle.
Power?
Yeah, or the bigger boobs. Berthier takes the, I'm going to go in the middle route. Yeah. Well, he goes to the middle route. It's like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to sit here and try not to get involved in anything. And it's at this point, on June 1st, when he's going to die of unnatural causes. And by unnatural causes, I mean that he falls out the window in his estate and dies. That
stinks. Man, just tripped and fell, huh?
Just tripped and fell. Now, some say...
bummer.
Some say that he was killed by a secret society. Some say, a secret society that was against the empire and the crown. Because at this time in France, the revolutionaries are high. In any case, some say it's secret society that kills him. Some say that he was assassinated by either the Napoleon or the king, because he didn't side directly with either of them. Then other reports say that he hurled himself out his window when he saw Russian troops marching towards France. In any case, Berthier would not be there for Napoleon's second greatest loss at Waterloo. And Napoleon himself, at the very end of everything, after everything's said and done, he says, and I quote, in response to Waterloo, "If Berthier had been there, I would not have met this misfortune." So even after Berthier caused him his most embarrassing defeat with the Bunnies, Napoleon still had a good heart for him. So, I guess there's that to consider. And so if you, my friends at home, ever want to go on a massive hunt, maybe don't do that with farmed bunnies.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about the first car crash.